What if I told you that one of the most powerful goddesses in ancient Egypt was not only a symbol of magic and healing, but also a master of deception and transformation? Isis, the goddess of life, magic, and motherhood, wielded powers so profound that even the sun god Ra could not resist her influence. Her story is not just a tale of divine might, but a journey through the mysteries of creation, death, and rebirth. From resurrecting her husband Osiris to outsmarting the gods themselves, Isis's magical influence shaped the very fabric of ancient Egyptian culture. But how much do we truly know about her? In this video, we'll uncover 25 myths about Isis and her extraordinary magical influence, revealing secrets that have fascinated humanity for thousands of years. Stay with us, and by the end, you'll see why Isis remains one of the most enduring and enigmatic figures in mythology. Let's dive into the world of ancient Egypt, where magic and mystery intertwine, and discover the truth behind the myths. Now, let's step into the very beginning of Isis's story, where her influence stretches beyond the boundaries of life and death, reaching into the very fabric of existence itself. The first myth we'll explore is one that elevates Isis to the role of the creator of the universe. In this ancient tale, Isis is not just a goddess of magic and healing, but the mother of all creation, the force that brought order to chaos and life to the void. According to Egyptian cosmology, Isis was believed to have played a pivotal role in the formation of the world. She was often associated with the primordial waters of Nun, the chaotic, formless state that existed before creation. From this chaos, Isis emerged as a divine force, using her wisdom and magic to shape the universe. She was said to have breathed life into the first beings, setting the stage for the gods, humans, and all living creatures to follow. This myth wasn't just a story, it was a cornerstone of her worship. By portraying Isis as the mother of creation, ancient Egyptians saw her as the ultimate source of life and order. Temples dedicated to her often emphasized this role, with inscriptions and artwork depicting her as the nurturing force behind the cosmos. Her followers believed that by honoring Isis, they were connecting with the very essence of creation itself. But what makes this myth so fascinating is how it intertwines with other aspects of her identity. Isis wasn't just a creator, she was also a protector, a healer, and a guide. This duality, being both the origin of life and the sustainer of it, made her one of the most revered deities in ancient Egypt. Her role as the creator of the universe wasn't just about the past, it was a reminder of her ongoing presence in the world, shaping the lives of her worshippers and maintaining the balance of the cosmos. As we move forward, we'll see how this foundational myth influenced other stories about Isis, from her resurrection of Osiris to her mastery of magic. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound impact of this first myth. It's a testament to the enduring power of Isis, a goddess who wasn't just part of the universe, she was its very beginning. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most iconic and enduring myths surrounding Isis, the resurrection of Osiris. This story is not just a tale of divine power, but a profound exploration of life, death, and the eternal cycle of rebirth. It's a myth that showcases Isis's unwavering determination, her mastery of magic, and her role as a protector of the natural order. The story begins with Osiris, Isis's beloved husband and the ruler of Egypt. Osiris was a just and wise king, but his brother Seth, consumed by jealousy, plotted against him. In a treacherous act, Seth murdered Osiris, dismembered his body, and scattered the pieces across Egypt. Devastated but resolute, Isis vowed to bring Osiris back to life. With the help of her sister Nephthys, Isis embarked on a perilous journey to recover every part of Osiris's body. Her determination was unmatched and her magic was unparalleled. Piece by piece, she gathered his remains, using her divine powers to reassemble and restore him. But this wasn't just a physical resurrection, it was a spiritual one. Through her incantations and rituals, Isis breathed life back into Osiris, allowing him to rise from death and reclaim his place among the gods. This myth holds deep symbolic meaning in Egyptian mythology. It represents the triumph of life over death, order over chaos, and love over betrayal. The resurrection of Osiris became a cornerstone of Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife. It reinforced the idea that death was not an end but a transition, a step toward renewal and eternal existence. For the ancient Egyptians, this story offered hope and reassurance, reminding them that even in the face of loss, there was the possibility of rebirth. Isis's role in this myth also highlights her multifaceted nature. She wasn't just a goddess of magic, she was a devoted wife, a fierce protector, and a symbol of resilience. Her actions demonstrated that love and determination could overcome even the greatest of obstacles. This myth also solidified her connection to Osiris and their son Horus, creating a divine family that represented the ideals of kingship, justice, and continuity. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear why it resonated so deeply with the ancient Egyptians. It wasn't just a story about gods, it was a reflection of their own hopes, fears, and beliefs. The resurrection of Osiris became a powerful metaphor for the cycles of nature, the changing seasons, and the promise of new beginnings. And at the heart of it all was Isis, the goddess who defied death itself to restore balance and life. This myth sets the stage for the next chapter in Isis's story, where her role as a protector and healer takes center stage. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound impact of this tale, a story of love, loss, and the enduring power of resurrection. Now, let's shift our focus to another remarkable aspect of Isis's divine influence, her role as the ultimate healer. This myth not only highlights her mastery of magic, but also reveals how her healing powers shaped the lives and beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. Isis was revered as a goddess who could cure ailments, mend wounds, and protect her followers from harm. Her healing abilities were said to be unmatched, blending the mystical with the practical. She used spells, incantations, and sacred rituals to restore health and vitality, earning her a reputation as a divine physician. But her healing wasn't limited to the physical. She also offered comfort and solace to those in emotional or spiritual distress, embodying the idea of holistic well-being. One of the most fascinating aspects of this myth is how it influenced ancient Egyptian medical practices. Physicians and healers often invoked Isis's name and used her symbols in their treatments. Amulets bearing her image were believed to ward off illness and evil spirits, while her sacred texts provided guidance on remedies and rituals. In many ways, Isis's healing powers bridged the gap between the spiritual and the scientific, offering a unique perspective on health and medicine. Her role as a healer also extended to the protection of her followers. It was believed that Isis could shield individuals from harm, whether from disease, injury, or malevolent forces. This protective aspect of her healing made her a beloved figure among the people, who sought her blessings for themselves and their loved ones. The myth of Isis as the ultimate healer reflects the ancient Egyptians' deep respect for the interconnectedness of body, mind, and spirit. It shows how they viewed health not just as the absence of illness but as a state of harmony and balance. Isis's healing powers were a reminder that even in the face of suffering, there was hope for restoration and renewal. As we explore this myth, it's clear that Isis's influence extended far beyond the realm of magic. She was a symbol of compassion, resilience, and the enduring power of healing, a legacy that continues to inspire to this day. This brings us to the next chapter in Isis's story, where her cunning and resourcefulness take center stage. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound impact of her healing powers, a testament to her enduring role as a protector and nurturer of life. Now, let's delve into one of the most intriguing and cunning aspects of Isis's story, her quest to uncover the secret name of Ra. This myth not only showcases her intelligence and resourcefulness, but also solidifies her reputation as a goddess of unparalleled magical prowess. The story begins with Ra, the sun god and creator of the universe, who held immense power thanks to his secret name, a name that was the source of his divine strength. Knowing this, Isis devised a plan to gain access to this hidden knowledge. She understood that by learning Ra's secret name, she could wield power equal to his, elevating her status among the gods. To achieve her goal, Isis used her deep understanding of magic and human nature. She crafted a venomous serpent from the earth and set it to bite Ra. As the venom coursed through his body, Ra suffered immense pain and called upon the other gods for help. Isis, pretending to be a concerned healer, offered to cure him, but only if he revealed his secret name. Ra, desperate for relief, initially tried to deceive her by offering false names, but Isis, ever perceptive, knew he was holding back. She insisted that only his true secret name could save him. Finally, in agony and with no other choice, Ra whispered his hidden name to Isis. With this knowledge, she healed him, but in doing so, she gained access to his divine power. This myth highlights Isis's mastery of strategy and magic. It wasn't brute force that allowed her to triumph, but her ability to outthink even the most powerful of gods. By tricking Ra, she demonstrated that intelligence and cunning could rival raw power, a lesson that resonated deeply in Egyptian mythology. The implications of this myth are profound. By acquiring Ra's secret name, Isis not only secured her place as a goddess of immense magical influence, but also reinforced the idea that knowledge is the ultimate source of power. This act elevated her status, making her a figure of both reverence and fear among the gods. Moreover, this story reflects the ancient Egyptian belief in the power of names. Names were thought to hold intrinsic power, and knowing someone's true name granted control over them. Isis's ability to uncover Ra's secret name underscores her role as a goddess who could manipulate the very fabric of divine authority. As we explore this myth, it's clear that Isis's cunning and magical expertise were central to her identity. She wasn't just a healer or protector, she was a strategist, a manipulator of fate, and a goddess who could bend even the mightiest of gods to her will. This brings us to the next chapter in Isis's story, where her role as a protector takes on new dimensions. But for now, let's reflect on the brilliance of her plan and the enduring legacy of her magical influence, a testament to her unmatched wisdom and power. Now, let's shift our focus to another pivotal aspect of Isis's divine influence, her role as the protector of pharaohs. This myth not only underscores her importance in the political and spiritual life of ancient Egypt, but also reveals how her presence was seen as essential to the stability and legitimacy of the kingdom. In ancient Egyptian belief, the pharaoh was more than just a ruler. He was considered the living embodiment of Horus, the falcon-headed god and son of Isis. This divine connection made the pharaoh's role sacred, and Isis, as Horus's mother, played a crucial part in safeguarding his earthly counterpart. She was seen as the ultimate protector of the throne, ensuring that the pharaoh's rule was both just and enduring. One of the most striking examples of this myth is found in the story of Isis's unwavering support for her son Horus during his battle with Seth for the throne of Egypt. After Osiris's death, Seth sought to claim the throne, but Isis intervened to ensure that her son, the rightful heir, would rule. She used her wisdom, magic, and cunning to protect Horus from Seth's schemes, ultimately securing his victory. This tale became a powerful metaphor for the pharaoh's divine right to rule, with Isis serving as the guardian of that sacred authority. But Isis's protection extended beyond the mythological realm. In the real world, pharaohs often invoked her name and image to legitimize their power. Temples dedicated to Isis were built throughout Egypt, and her symbols such as the throne headdress she wore became emblems of royal authority. By aligning themselves with Isis, pharaohs reinforced their connection to the divine, presenting themselves as chosen and protected by the gods. This myth also highlights Isis's role in maintaining Maat, the ancient Egyptian concept of cosmic order and balance. By protecting the pharaoh, she ensured that chaos, represented by Seth, would not disrupt the harmony of the kingdom. Her presence was seen as a stabilizing force, one that upheld the natural order and safeguarded Egypt's prosperity. The belief in Isis as the protector of pharaohs had profound implications for Egyptian society. It reinforced the idea that the ruler's authority was divinely ordained, creating a sense of unity and purpose among the people. It also elevated Isis to a position of unparalleled importance, making her one of the most revered deities in the Egyptian pantheon. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear that Isis's role as the protector of pharaohs was not just about safeguarding individuals, it was about preserving the very fabric of Egyptian civilization. Her influence extended from the heavens to the throne, ensuring that the kingdom remained strong, stable, and just. This brings us to the next chapter in Isis's story, where her determination and resourcefulness are put to the test once again. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate how her role as the protector of pharaohs shaped the destiny of an entire civilization, leaving a legacy that endures to this day. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most poignant and powerful myths surrounding Isis, her relentless quest to gather the scattered body parts of Osiris. This story not only showcases her unwavering determination, but also carries deep symbolic meaning, reflecting themes of unity, restoration, and the triumph of love over chaos. After Osiris was murdered by his brother Seth, his body was dismembered into 14 pieces, which Seth scattered across Egypt to prevent any chance of resurrection. This act of cruelty was meant to ensure Osiris's eternal demise, but Isis refused to accept this fate. Driven by love and devotion, she embarked on a journey to recover every part of her husband's body, no matter how far or difficult the search. With the help of her sister Nephthys and the jackal-headed god Anubis, Isis traveled across the land, gathering each piece of Osiris's body. Her determination was unshakable, and her efforts were fueled by the belief that Osiris could be restored to life. This myth highlights Isis's resourcefulness and resilience as she overcame countless obstacles to achieve her goal. Once all the pieces were collected, Isis used her profound knowledge of magic to reassemble Osiris's body. With the aid of powerful spells and rituals, she performed the first act of mummification, a process that would later become central to Egyptian funerary practices. Through her magic, Osiris was temporarily revived, allowing him to conceive their son Horus before passing into the afterlife as the ruler of the underworld. The myth of Isis gathering Osiris's body parts is rich with symbolism. It represents the idea of unity in the face of fragmentation, showing how even the most broken things can be made whole again through love and perseverance. It also underscores the importance of restoration, both in a physical and spiritual sense, as Isis's actions ensured that Osiris could continue to play a vital role in the cosmic order. This story also reflects the ancient Egyptian belief in the power of ritual and magic to overcome death and chaos. By reassembling Osiris's body, Isis not only restored her husband but also reaffirmed the principles of Maat, balance, harmony, and justice. Her actions became a model for Egyptian funerary practices, inspiring the elaborate rituals and spells used to ensure the deceased's safe passage to the afterlife. As we reflect on this myth, it's impossible not to be moved by Isis's devotion and strength. Her journey to restore Osiris is a testament to the enduring power of love and the human spirit's ability to overcome even the greatest challenges. It's a story that resonates across time, reminding us of the importance of unity, resilience, and the belief that even in the face of loss, there is always hope for renewal. This brings us to the next chapter in Isis's story, where her role as a goddess of love and fertility takes center stage, revealing yet another dimension of her divine influence. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate how her determination to restore Osiris not only shaped Egyptian mythology, but also left a lasting legacy of hope and restoration for generations to come. Now, let's shift our focus to another profound aspect of Isis's divine identity, her role as the goddess of love and fertility. This facet of her mythology reveals how deeply intertwined she was with the most intimate and essential aspects of human life in ancient Egypt. Isis was not only a symbol of love and devotion in her relationship with Osiris, but also a powerful figure who embodied the nurturing and life-giving forces of the natural world. As the goddess of fertility, she was believed to oversee the growth of crops, the fertility of the land, and the ability of women to conceive and bear children. Her influence extended beyond the divine realm, touching the everyday lives of ordinary Egyptians who sought her blessings for their families and communities. In ancient Egyptian society, marriage and family were central to both personal and societal well-being. Isis, as the ideal wife and mother, became a model for these values. Her unwavering love for Osiris and her dedication to protecting their son Horus made her a symbol of marital fidelity and maternal care. Couples often invoked her name in prayers and rituals, asking for her guidance in building strong, loving relationships. Fertility rituals dedicated to Isis were common, especially among women hoping to conceive. Temples dedicated to her were places of pilgrimage, where offerings of flowers, food, and incense were made to gain her favor. These rituals often included the use of amulets and charms bearing her image, believed to carry her protective and life-giving powers. The sistrum, a sacred musical instrument associated with Isis, was also used in these ceremonies, its rhythmic sounds thought to invoke her presence and blessings. Isis's connection to fertility extended to the natural world as well. She was often linked to the annual flooding of the Nile, which brought fertile soil to the fields and ensured bountiful harvests. This association reinforced her role as a sustainer of life, both human and agricultural. Farmers would pray to her for abundant crops, and her image was sometimes depicted alongside symbols of growth and prosperity. The myth of Isis as the goddess of love and fertility also had a profound impact on Egyptian art and literature. She was frequently portrayed nursing Horus, an image that became a universal symbol of maternal care and protection. This depiction influenced not only religious iconography, but also the way motherhood was celebrated in Egyptian culture. Stories of her compassion and nurturing nature were passed down through generations, inspiring countless works of poetry and art. Through her role as a goddess of love and fertility, Isis became a source of hope and comfort for many. Her myths offered reassurance that love could endure even in the face of loss and that life could flourish even in the harshest conditions. This belief in her power to nurture and sustain life made her one of the most beloved and widely worshipped deities in ancient Egypt. As we move forward, we'll explore how Isis's mastery of magic further solidified her place as one of the most powerful and revered figures in Egyptian mythology. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate how her role as a goddess of love and fertility not only shaped the lives of ancient Egyptians, but also left an enduring legacy of compassion and renewal. Now, let's delve into one of the most captivating chapters in the mythology of Isis, the secret birth of her son, Horus. This myth not only showcases her resilience and resourcefulness, but also underscores her unwavering determination to protect her child, even in the face of immense danger. After the tragic death of Osiris at the hands of his brother Seth, Isis found herself in a perilous position. Pregnant with Horus, she knew that Seth would stop at nothing to eliminate any potential threat to his power. To safeguard her unborn child, Isis retreated into hiding, seeking refuge in the marshes of the Nile Delta. This secluded environment, teeming with reeds and wildlife, provided the perfect sanctuary for her to give birth away from Seth's watchful eyes. The birth of Horus was no ordinary event. It was shrouded in secrecy and surrounded by divine protection. Isis, with her profound knowledge of magic, cast spells and incantations to shield herself and her newborn son from harm. She invoked the power of the gods to create a protective barrier around them, ensuring that Seth's malevolent forces could not reach them. This act of magical defense highlights Isis's mastery over the mystical arts and her ability to harness them for the sake of her child's survival. As Horus grew, Isis continued to take extraordinary measures to protect him. She moved frequently, never staying in one place for too long to avoid detection. She also relied on the help of other deities such as Thoth and Nephthys, who provided her with guidance and support. Together, they ensured that Horus remained hidden and safe until he was strong enough to face Seth and reclaim his rightful place as the heir of Osiris. The myth of Horus's birth is rich with symbolism. It represents the triumph of life over death, hope over despair, and the enduring power of a mother's love. Isis's actions during this time reflect her role as the ultimate protector and nurturer, willing to endure hardship and danger to ensure her son's survival. Her resilience in the face of adversity became a source of inspiration for countless generations, embodying the strength and determination required to overcome even the greatest challenges. This story also highlights the importance of secrecy and strategy in the face of overwhelming odds. Isis's ability to outwit Seth through cunning and divine assistance demonstrates her intelligence and resourcefulness. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest victories are achieved not through brute force but through careful planning and unwavering resolve. As we continue to explore the myths of Isis, we'll see how her role as a mother and protector extends beyond Horus, influencing her interactions with both gods and mortals. But for now, let's reflect on how the birth of Horus stands as a testament to Isis's enduring legacy as a goddess of resilience, love, and divine power. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most defining aspects of Isis's divine identity, her unparalleled mastery of magic. Known as the Mistress of Magic, Isis was revered not just for her wisdom and nurturing nature, but also for her extraordinary ability to wield spells, amulets, and incantations to achieve her goals. This myth underscores her role as a goddess who could bend the forces of the universe to her will, making her one of the most powerful figures in Egyptian mythology. At the heart of Isis's magical prowess was her deep knowledge of the hidden names and secrets of the gods. One of the most famous stories illustrating this is the myth of how she tricked Ra, the sun god, into revealing his secret name. By learning this name, Isis gained immense power, allowing her to command even the mightiest of deities. This act wasn't just about acquiring power, it was a demonstration of her intelligence, cunning, and understanding of the mystical arts. Her ability to outwit Ra highlights how magic, in the hands of Isis, was not just a tool but a profound expression of her divine authority. Isis's magic wasn't limited to grand gestures or cosmic battles. She also used her skills in more personal and practical ways, particularly to protect and heal those she cared about. For instance, she crafted powerful amulets such as the Tayet, often referred to as the Knot of Isis, which symbolized protection and resurrection. These amulets were believed to hold her magical essence, offering safety and strength to those who wore them. Her spells and incantations were also used to heal the sick, ward off evil spirits, and even bring the dead back to life, as seen in her efforts to resurrect Osiris. What sets Isis apart as the mistress of magic is her ability to combine her magical knowledge with her deep compassion. Her spells were never used for selfish gain or destruction. Instead, they were always aimed at preserving life, restoring balance, and protecting the innocent. This duality of power and benevolence made her a beloved figure, not just among the gods but also among mortals who sought her aid in times of need. The myth of Isis as the mistress of magic also reflects the ancient Egyptians' belief in the interconnectedness of the divine and the natural world. Magic, for them, was a way to tap into the hidden forces that governed existence, and Isis was seen as the ultimate mediator between these realms. Her ability to harness magic for the greater good reinforced her role as a protector and a guide, both in the physical world and in the spiritual journey of the afterlife. As we explore further, we'll see how Isis's magical influence extended beyond her immediate family and followers, shaping the very fabric of Egyptian culture and spirituality. But for now, let's reflect on how her mastery of magic not only defined her as a goddess, but also cemented her legacy as a symbol of hope, healing, and divine power. Now, let's journey into a lesser-known but fascinating chapter of Isis's story, the myth of her protection by 7 scorpions during her exile. This tale not only highlights her resourcefulness, but also underscores the divine favor that surrounded her, even in her most vulnerable moments. After the murder of Osiris, Isis found herself fleeing from the wrath of Seth, the god of chaos. To protect herself and her unborn son, Horus, she sought refuge in the marshes of the Nile Delta. It was during this time of exile that 7 scorpions, each representing a different aspect of protection and power, accompanied her. These scorpions were not ordinary creatures. They were divine beings sent by the gods to guard Isis and ensure her safety. The story takes an intriguing turn when Isis, seeking shelter, approached a wealthy woman's home. However, the woman, fearing the scorpions, slammed her door in Isis's face. Undeterred, Isis found refuge in the humble home of a poor peasant woman. The scorpions, angered by the wealthy woman's rejection, decided to teach her a lesson. One of the scorpions, named Tefan, sneaked into the wealthy woman's house and stung her child. The child fell gravely ill, and the woman, desperate for help, turned to Isis for aid. Isis, ever compassionate, used her magical powers to heal the child. She called upon the scorpions to withdraw their venom, demonstrating not only her mastery over life and death, but also her willingness to forgive and help even those who had wronged her. This act of mercy further solidified her reputation as a goddess of healing and protection. The myth of the 7 scorpions serves as a powerful reminder of Isis's resilience and divine favor. Even in exile, she was never truly alone. Her connection to the gods and her mastery of magic ensured her safety and the fulfillment of her mission. The scorpions, often seen as symbols of danger, were transformed into agents of protection and justice under her guidance. This story also reflects the ancient Egyptian belief in the balance of power and retribution. The wealthy woman's initial rejection of Isis was met with a lesson, but it was Isis's compassion that ultimately restored harmony. It's a testament to her ability to turn even the most challenging situations into opportunities for healing and growth. As we move forward, we'll see how Isis's resourcefulness and divine favor continue to shape her journey, influencing not only her own fate, but also the lives of those who sought her protection and guidance. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate how this myth of the 7 scorpions reveals yet another layer of her enduring legacy as a goddess of magic, mercy, and resilience. Now, let's turn our attention to another remarkable aspect of Isis's legacy, her role as the inventor of agriculture. This myth not only highlights her wisdom and benevolence, but also underscores her deep connection to the prosperity and sustenance of ancient Egyptian society. In this tale, Isis is credited with teaching humanity the art of cultivating crops, a skill that transformed the way people lived and thrived. Before her intervention, humans relied on gathering wild plants and hunting for survival. But Isis, recognizing the potential for a more stable and abundant way of life, shared her knowledge of farming with the people. She taught them how to sow seeds, nurture the soil, and harvest crops, laying the foundation for agricultural practices that would sustain civilizations for millennia. This myth reflects the ancient Egyptians' reverence for Isis as a provider and nurturer. By linking her to agriculture, they acknowledged her role in ensuring the fertility of the land and the abundance of food. The Nile River, with its annual floods, was central to Egyptian agriculture, and Isis was often seen as a guardian of this life-giving force. Her teachings not only brought prosperity, but also fostered a sense of community and cooperation as people worked together to cultivate the land. The story also highlights Isis's ability to bridge the divine and the mortal worlds. While she was a goddess of immense power, she used that power to uplift humanity, demonstrating her compassion and commitment to their well-being. Her gift of agriculture was more than just a practical skill. It was a symbol of hope, growth, and the enduring connection between the gods and the people they protected. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear how deeply Isis's influence permeated every aspect of ancient Egyptian life. From healing and protection to the very sustenance of their society, her legacy was one of empowerment and transformation. And as we continue to explore her myths, we'll see how her wisdom and generosity shaped not only the lives of the ancient Egyptians, but also the cultural and spiritual traditions that followed. Next, we'll delve into another fascinating chapter of Isis's story, her mournful lamentations for Osiris and their profound impact on Egyptian funerary practices. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate how this myth of Isis as the inventor of agriculture reveals yet another layer of her enduring legacy as a goddess of wisdom, abundance, and life itself. Now, let's step into a deeply emotional chapter of Isis's story, her mournful lamentations for Osiris. This myth not only reveals her profound grief, but also highlights the powerful role her sorrow played in shaping ancient Egyptian funerary practices and the spiritual lives of her worshippers. After Osiris was murdered by his brother Seth and his body scattered across Egypt, Isis embarked on a journey to recover and reassemble his remains, but her grief didn't end with the physical act of restoration. It poured out in the form of hauntingly beautiful songs and chants, known as lamentations, which became a cornerstone of Egyptian mourning rituals. These songs were more than just expressions of sorrow. They were acts of devotion, magic, and healing. Isis's lamentations were believed to have the power to soothe the souls of the dead and guide them safely into the afterlife. Her voice, filled with both pain and love, was thought to bridge the gap between the living and the deceased, offering comfort to those left behind and ensuring that the departed could find peace. This myth underscores the ancient Egyptians' belief in the transformative power of grief and the importance of honoring the dead through ritual and remembrance. The emotional impact of Isis's lamentations resonated deeply with her worshippers. They saw in her grief a reflection of their own experiences of loss and longing. By emulating her songs and rituals, they sought to connect with her divine compassion and draw strength from her example. These practices became an integral part of Egyptian funerary traditions, with priests and mourners reciting similar lamentations during burial ceremonies to invoke Isis's protection and guidance for the deceased. This myth also reveals Isis's dual role as both a mourner and a healer. While her lamentations expressed her sorrow, they also carried a sense of hope and renewal. Through her songs, she not only honored Osiris but also reaffirmed the promise of resurrection and eternal life, a central theme in Egyptian mythology. Her ability to transform grief into a source of spiritual power further cemented her status as a goddess of immense emotional and magical influence. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear how Isis's lamentations for Osiris transcended personal sorrow to become a universal symbol of love, loss, and the enduring connection between the living and the dead. Her songs remind us that even in the depths of grief, there is a path to healing and renewal. Next, we'll explore how Isis's connection to the stars, particularly the star Sirius, influenced Egyptian astronomy and their understanding of time. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate how this myth of Isis's lamentations reveals her profound empathy and the timeless power of her voice to comfort and inspire. Now, let's turn our gaze upward to the night sky, where Isis's influence extends beyond the earth and into the cosmos. One of the most fascinating aspects of her mythology is her association with the star Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. This celestial connection not only elevated her status as a goddess, but also played a pivotal role in shaping ancient Egyptian astronomy and their understanding of time. Sirius, known to the Egyptians as Sopdet, held immense significance in their culture. Its annual rising just before dawn, known as the Heliacal Rising, coincided with the flooding of the Nile, a life-giving event that marked the beginning of the Egyptian New Year. Isis, linked to Sirius, was seen as the divine force behind this cosmic and earthly harmony. Her connection to the stars symbolized renewal, fertility, and the cyclical nature of life, themes that were central to Egyptian spirituality. The Egyptians believed that Isis, through her association with Sirius, governed the rhythms of the natural world. Her presence in the heavens was thought to bring order to the chaos of the cosmos, much like she brought order to the earthly realm. This belief influenced their calendar system, which was divided into 3 seasons based on the Nile cycles: inundation, growth, and harvest. The Heliacal Rising of Sirius became a crucial marker for agricultural planning, religious festivals, and the timing of rituals dedicated to Isis and other deities. Isis's celestial role also extended to the afterlife. The Egyptians saw Sirius as a guiding star for the souls of the deceased, much like Isis herself guided the dead through the underworld. Her light in the night sky was believed to offer protection and hope, illuminating the path to eternal life. This dual role, both as a celestial guardian and a guide for the dead, further solidified her importance in Egyptian cosmology. The myth of Isis as the goddess of the stars also highlights her versatility as a deity. She was not confined to a single domain, but instead embodied the interconnectedness of the heavens and the earth. Her association with Sirius reinforced her image as a nurturing and powerful figure, capable of influencing both the natural and supernatural worlds. As we explore this myth, it's clear how deeply intertwined Isis was with the celestial and earthly cycles that defined ancient Egyptian life. Her connection to Sirius not only shaped their understanding of time and the cosmos, but also reinforced her role as a unifying force in their mythology. Next, we'll delve into how Isis used her magic to subdue Seth, the god of chaos, and restore balance to the world. But for now, let's take a moment to marvel at how her celestial presence continues to shine brightly, both in the stars above and in the enduring legacy of her myths. Now, let's shift our focus to one of the most dramatic moments in Isis's mythological journey, her confrontation with Seth, the god of chaos. This myth not only showcases her unparalleled mastery of magic, but also underscores her role as a guardian of order and balance in the world. In Egyptian mythology, Seth was a formidable force of disruption, often associated with storms, violence, and disorder. His actions frequently threatened the stability of the cosmos and the lives of both gods and mortals. One of his most infamous deeds was the murder of his brother Osiris, an act that plunged the world into turmoil. But Isis, ever resourceful and determined, would not let chaos reign unchecked. Using her profound knowledge of magic, Isis devised a plan to subdue Seth and restore harmony. She crafted powerful spells and incantations, drawing upon her connection to the divine and the natural world. Her magic was not just a tool but an extension of her will, a force that could bend even the most chaotic elements to her purpose. The myth describes how Isis confronted Seth, using her cunning and magical prowess to outwit him. In some versions of the story, she transforms into various forms to deceive him, while in others, she binds him with enchanted ropes or chains forged from her spells. Regardless of the details, the outcome is the same. Seth is subdued and order is restored. This act of binding Seth was more than just a victory over chaos. It was a reaffirmation of Isis's role as a protector of Maat, the Egyptian concept of cosmic balance and justice. By defeating Seth, she ensured that the natural and divine worlds could continue to function harmoniously. Her triumph over chaos became a symbol of hope and resilience, reminding the Egyptians that even in the face of overwhelming disorder, balance could be restored through wisdom, determination, and divine intervention. The myth also highlights Isis's versatility as a goddess. She was not only a healer and nurturer, but also a warrior against chaos, willing to confront even the most dangerous forces to protect what she held dear. This duality, her ability to both create and defend, made her an enduring figure in Egyptian mythology, revered for her strength and compassion alike. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear how Isis's binding of Seth reinforced her image as a unifying force in the cosmos. Her actions ensured that the cycles of life, death, and rebirth could continue uninterrupted, preserving the delicate balance that defined Egyptian spirituality. Next, we'll explore how Isis's influence extended even further, as she was believed to weave the very threads of fate for gods and mortals alike. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the power and determination of a goddess who stood against chaos and emerged victorious, ensuring that light and order would always prevail. Now, let's unravel another fascinating layer of Isis's divine power, her role as the weaver of fate. In Egyptian mythology, Isis was believed to hold the ability to shape the destinies of both gods and mortals, weaving the very threads of life with her divine hands. This myth not only elevated her status as a goddess of immense influence, but also deepened her connection to the lives of those who worshipped her. The concept of fate was central to Egyptian spirituality, and Isis's mastery over it made her a figure of both awe and reverence. She was seen as the one who could determine the course of lives, guiding individuals through their triumphs and trials. Her power to weave fate was not arbitrary but deeply tied to her role as a protector of Mat, the principle of cosmic balance. Through her actions, she ensured that the natural order was maintained and that every life played its part in the grand tapestry of existence. One of the most compelling aspects of this myth is how it portrays Isis as both a creator and a guide. She didn't just weave the threads of life, she also intervened to alter them when necessary. For example, it was believed that she could extend the lifespan of those who were devoted to her or change the course of events to protect her followers from harm. This ability to influence destiny made her a source of hope and comfort, especially in times of uncertainty or despair. The imagery of weaving is particularly significant. Just as a weaver carefully selects and intertwines threads to create a beautiful tapestry, Isis was thought to meticulously shape the lives of gods and mortals, ensuring that each thread contributed to the greater design. This metaphor not only highlighted her skill and precision, but also emphasized the interconnectedness of all life. Every action, every decision was seen as part of a larger pattern, with Isis overseeing it all. This belief in Isis as the weaver of fate had a profound impact on her worship. Devotees often sought her guidance in matters of life and death, praying for her intervention in their personal destinies. Temples dedicated to her became places where people could seek clarity and reassurance, trusting that Isis would help them navigate the challenges of their lives. Her role as a fate weaver also reinforced her image as a compassionate and nurturing goddess, one who cared deeply for the well-being of her followers. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear how Isis's ability to control destiny added another dimension to her divine identity. She was not just a healer, protector, or warrior against chaos, she was also the architect of life's journey, ensuring that every thread, no matter how small, had its place in the grand design. Next, we'll delve into another remarkable aspect of Isis's influence, her power to grant immortality to her most devoted followers. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound symbolism of a goddess who held the threads of fate in her hands, weaving a story of balance, purpose, and hope for all who believed in her. Now, let's step into the realm of eternity as we explore one of the most captivating aspects of Isis's divine power, her ability to grant immortality to her most devoted followers. This myth not only highlights her role as a life-giving goddess, but also reveals how deeply her influence permeated the beliefs and rituals surrounding death and the afterlife in ancient Egypt. The idea of immortality was central to Egyptian spirituality, and Isis was seen as a key figure in ensuring that her followers could transcend the boundaries of mortal life. According to the myth, those who demonstrated unwavering devotion to Isis could be granted eternal life, a gift that elevated them beyond the limitations of the physical world. This belief was not just a comforting thought, but a profound promise that shaped the way Egyptians approached death and the journey beyond. One of the most striking examples of this myth can be found in the funerary practices of ancient Egypt. Followers of Isis often included amulets, spells, and inscriptions in their tombs, all dedicated to invoking her protection and favor in the afterlife. These artifacts were believed to serve as a bridge between the mortal world and the divine, ensuring that the deceased would be guided safely through the trials of the underworld and into the embrace of eternal life. The myth of Isis granting immortality also reinforced her role as a compassionate and nurturing goddess. She was seen as a protector not only in life but also in death, offering her followers the ultimate gift, freedom from the fear of oblivion. This belief provided immense comfort to those facing the inevitability of death, as they trusted that Isis would be there to welcome them into a realm of everlasting peace and joy. Interestingly, this myth also reflects the interconnectedness of life and death in Egyptian thought. Immortality was not seen as an escape from life, but as a continuation of it, a seamless transition into a higher state of existence. Isis, as the giver of this gift, embodied the idea that death was not an end but a transformation, a step into a new and eternal phase of being. The influence of this myth extended beyond individual beliefs to shape the broader cultural practices of ancient Egypt. Temples dedicated to Isis became centers for rituals and ceremonies aimed at securing her favor for the afterlife. Priests and priestesses played a crucial role in guiding devotees through these practices, ensuring that they were well prepared for the journey ahead. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear how Isis's power to grant immortality added another layer to her divine identity. She was not just a goddess of life and healing, but also a guardian of the soul's eternal journey. Her promise of immortality offered hope and reassurance, reminding her followers that death was not to be feared but embraced as a gateway to a greater existence. Next, we'll turn our attention to another vital aspect of Isis's influence, her role as the guardian of the Nile, the lifeblood of ancient Egypt. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound impact of a goddess who held the keys to eternity, offering her followers the ultimate gift of everlasting life. Now, let's journey to the heart of ancient Egypt's survival and prosperity, the Nile River, and uncover the myth of Isis as its divine guardian. The Nile was more than just a river to the Egyptians. It was the lifeblood of their civilization, and Isis's role in ensuring its annual flooding was nothing short of miraculous. According to the myth, Isis held the power to control the Nile's waters, ensuring that the river would flood each year, bringing with it the rich, fertile silt that made the land flourish. This annual flooding was essential for agriculture as it replenished the soil and allowed crops to grow in abundance. Without it, Egypt would have faced famine and hardship. Isis, in her wisdom and compassion, was believed to oversee this natural cycle, ensuring that the people of Egypt thrived. The connection between Isis and the Nile was deeply symbolic. Just as the river brought life to the land, Isis was seen as a life-giving force, nurturing both the earth and its people. Her role as the guardian of the Nile reinforced her identity as a goddess of fertility, prosperity, and renewal. Temples dedicated to Isis often stood near the river, serving as places of worship where people could offer prayers and sacrifices in gratitude for her blessings. One of the most fascinating aspects of this myth is how it reflects the Egyptians' understanding of the natural world. They saw the Nile's flooding not as a random event but as a divine act orchestrated by Isis. This belief gave them a sense of security and trust in the cycles of nature, knowing that their goddess would always provide for them. Rituals and festivals were held in her honor, celebrating the life-giving waters and the abundance they brought. The myth also highlights Isis's dual role as both a nurturing mother and a powerful deity. She was not only a protector of the Nile, but also a symbol of the interconnectedness between the divine and the natural world. Her ability to control the river's waters demonstrated her immense power, while her willingness to use that power for the benefit of her people showcased her compassion and benevolence. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear how Isis's guardianship of the Nile shaped the identity of ancient Egypt. Her influence extended beyond the spiritual realm into the very fabric of daily life, ensuring that the land remained fertile and the people prosperous. The annual flooding of the Nile was not just a natural phenomenon but a divine gift, a testament to Isis's enduring care for her followers. Next, we'll explore another captivating aspect of Isis's mythology, her transformation into a kite to mourn Osiris, a story that reveals her deep devotion and the length she would go to honor her beloved. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound connection between Isis and the Nile, a bond that sustained an entire civilization and cemented her legacy as a goddess of life and abundance. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most poignant and symbolic myths surrounding Isis, her transformation into a kite to mourn Osiris. This story not only reveals the depth of her grief, but also highlights her unwavering devotion and the length she would go to honor her beloved. After the tragic death of Osiris, Isis was consumed by sorrow. Her heart ached for her husband, and she longed to find a way to express her grief and keep his memory alive. According to the myth, Isis transformed herself into a kite, a bird often associated with mourning and the afterlife in ancient Egyptian culture. In this form, she soared above the land, her mournful cries echoing across the skies as she searched for the scattered remains of Osiris. The choice of the kite as her transformed state is deeply symbolic. Kites were seen as messengers between the earthly realm and the divine, capable of bridging the gap between life and death. By taking on this form, Isis not only expressed her profound sorrow, but also demonstrated her connection to the spiritual world, where she believed Osiris's soul resided. Her cries as a kite were said to be so haunting that they moved even the gods to pity, underscoring the depth of her love and loss. This myth also reflects Isis's determination and resourcefulness. Even in her grief, she did not give up. Instead, she used her magical abilities to transform herself and continue her quest to restore Osiris. Her transformation into a kite symbolizes her ability to adapt and persevere, even in the face of overwhelming despair. It's a testament to her strength and resilience, qualities that made her one of the most revered goddesses in Egyptian mythology. The story of Isis as a kite also carries a deeper message about the nature of love and devotion. Her willingness to transform herself and endure such pain for Osiris shows the lengths to which she would go to honor their bond. It's a powerful reminder of the enduring nature of love, even in the face of death and separation. This myth resonated deeply with the ancient Egyptians, who saw in Isis a reflection of their own hopes and fears about life, death, and the afterlife. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear how Isis's transformation into a kite encapsulates her role as a goddess of both sorrow and hope. Her grief is raw and palpable, yet it is also a source of strength and inspiration. Through her actions, she teaches us about the power of love, the importance of perseverance, and the enduring connection between the living and the dead. Next, we'll explore another fascinating aspect of Isis's mythology, her role as a teacher of humanity, imparting knowledge of magic, medicine, and civilization. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound symbolism of Isis as a kite, a story that continues to touch hearts and inspire centuries later. Now, let's shift our focus to another remarkable aspect of Isis's legacy, her role as a teacher of humanity. This myth paints Isis not only as a goddess of magic and healing, but also as a wise and compassionate guide who shared her knowledge with mortals, helping them build a better world. According to ancient Egyptian beliefs, Isis was revered as a source of wisdom and enlightenment. She was said to have taught humanity the secrets of magic, medicine, and even the foundations of civilization itself. Her teachings were not just about practical skills, but also about understanding the deeper mysteries of life and the universe. Through her guidance, people learned how to harness the power of nature, heal illnesses, and create systems of governance and culture that allowed societies to flourish. One of the most fascinating aspects of this myth is how Isis's teachings bridged the gap between the divine and the mortal. She didn't hoard her knowledge, but instead chose to share it generously, believing that humans had the potential to grow and thrive with her help. For instance, she was credited with teaching the art of agriculture, showing people how to cultivate crops and sustain themselves. This gift was seen as a cornerstone of civilization, transforming nomadic tribes into settled communities. In the realm of medicine, Isis was believed to have imparted the knowledge of healing herbs and remedies. Her understanding of the human body and its ailments was unparalleled, and she used her magical abilities to create cures for even the most stubborn diseases. Many ancient Egyptians turned to her for protection and healing, and her influence extended into their medical practices, where prayers and rituals often accompanied treatments. But Isis's role as a teacher went beyond the physical world. She was also a spiritual guide, helping people understand the mysteries of the afterlife and the importance of living a virtuous life. Her teachings emphasized the interconnectedness of all things and the need to live in harmony with the natural and divine order. This holistic approach to wisdom made her a beloved figure, not just as a goddess, but as a mentor who cared deeply for her followers. The myth of Isis as a teacher also highlights her compassion and generosity. Unlike some deities who demanded worship without giving much in return, Isis was deeply invested in the well-being of humanity. She saw her role as one of service, using her divine powers to uplift and empower those who sought her guidance. This aspect of her character made her a symbol of hope and progress, inspiring people to strive for knowledge and self-improvement. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear how Isis's role as a teacher shaped not only ancient Egyptian society, but also the broader understanding of what it means to be a leader and a guide. Her legacy as a wise and benevolent figure continues to resonate, reminding us of the transformative power of knowledge and the importance of sharing it with others. Next, we'll delve into another captivating myth, Isis and the creation of the Ankh, the symbol of life. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound impact of Isis as a teacher, a role that cemented her place as one of the most influential figures in ancient mythology. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most enduring symbols of ancient Egypt, the Ankh, and the fascinating myth that ties its creation to the goddess Isis. This iconic symbol, often referred to as the key of life, holds a special place in Egyptian religion and iconography, and its origins are deeply intertwined with Isis's magical influence. According to legend, Isis was the divine inventor of the Ankh, crafting it as a powerful emblem of eternal life and divine protection. The Ankh, with its distinctive looped top and cross-like shape, was believed to hold the essence of life itself. It was not just a symbol but a conduit for the life-giving energy of the gods, and Isis, as the goddess of magic and wisdom, was seen as the one who brought this sacred object into existence. The Ankh's significance in Egyptian culture cannot be overstated. It was commonly depicted in the hands of gods and pharaohs, symbolizing their divine authority and connection to the eternal. For Isis, the Ankh represented her role as a giver of life and a protector of the living and the dead. It was often shown being offered by her to those she favored, a gesture that signified her blessing and the promise of immortality. But the Ankh was more than just a religious symbol. It was also a practical tool in the hands of Isis. In many myths, she is described as using the Ankh to perform miraculous acts, such as reviving the dead or healing the sick. Its power was believed to be so great that it could even influence the natural world, ensuring the fertility of the land and the prosperity of the people. The Ankh's design itself is thought to hold deeper meanings. Some scholars suggest that the loop at the top represents the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, while the cross below symbolizes the earthly realm. Together, they create a harmonious balance between the divine and the mortal, a concept that was central to Isis's teachings and her role as a bridge between worlds. In Egyptian art, the Ankh appears everywhere, from temple walls to jewelry, from royal tombs to everyday amulets. Its widespread use reflects its importance in both religious and daily life. People wore Ankh-shaped amulets for protection, and it was often placed in tombs to ensure the deceased's safe passage into the afterlife. This enduring presence of the Ankh in Egyptian culture is a testament to Isis's lasting influence and the profound impact of her creation. As we explore this myth, it's clear that the Ankh is more than just a symbol. It's a representation of Isis's power, wisdom, and compassion. Through the Ankh, she offered humanity a glimpse of the divine, a reminder that life is eternal and that the gods are always present, guiding and protecting those who seek their favor. Next, we'll uncover another layer of Isis's legacy as we delve into her role as the protector of children. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the Ankh's timeless significance and the remarkable story of its creation by the goddess Isis. Now, let's shift our focus to a deeply touching aspect of Isis's divine role: her protection of children. In ancient Egypt, Isis was revered not only as a goddess of magic and wisdom, but also as a compassionate guardian who watched over the youngest and most vulnerable members of society. This myth of Isis as the protector of children highlights her nurturing side and explains why she was so beloved by families across the land. According to legend, Isis's care for children stemmed from her own experiences as a mother. After giving birth to Horus in secret and raising him in the marshes to protect him from Seth, she became a symbol of maternal devotion and vigilance. Her determination to shield Horus from harm resonated deeply with Egyptian parents, who saw in her a divine example of love and protection. Stories of Isis safeguarding children often depict her using her magical powers to ward off evil spirits, cure illnesses, and ensure the safety of young ones. Amulets and charms bearing her image or symbols associated with her, such as the Ankh, were commonly placed in children's rooms or worn by them for protection. These objects were believed to carry her blessings, offering a shield against danger and misfortune. One particularly poignant myth tells of Isis saving a child from a venomous snakebite. Using her knowledge of healing and magic, she not only cured the child but also taught the parents how to protect their family from similar threats in the future. This act of kindness and empowerment further solidified her reputation as a goddess who cared deeply for the well-being of children and their families. The veneration of Isis as a protector extended beyond individual households. Temples dedicated to her often served as places where parents could bring their children to receive blessings or seek her intervention in times of need. Rituals and prayers were performed to honor her and ask for her guidance, ensuring that her presence was felt in every aspect of family life. This myth of Isis as the protector of children also reflects the broader Egyptian belief in the importance of family and the continuity of life. By safeguarding the young, Isis ensured the future of the community, embodying the hope and resilience that parents placed in their children. Her role as a guardian was not just about physical protection, but also about nurturing the potential of each child to grow and thrive. As we reflect on this aspect of Isis's legacy, it's clear that her influence reached far beyond the realms of magic and mythology. She was a source of comfort and strength for countless families, a divine mother who stood as a beacon of hope and protection. Next, we'll explore how Isis's power extended even further as we delve into the myth of her binding the sun and controlling the natural world. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the enduring image of Isis as the protector of children, a role that continues to inspire and resonate across the ages. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most awe-inspiring myths surrounding Isis, her ability to bind the sun itself. This extraordinary tale not only showcases her unparalleled mastery of magic, but also highlights her dominion over the natural world, a power that set her apart even among the gods. The myth begins with Isis seeking to assert her authority and protect her son Horus from the chaos brought by Seth. To do this, she devised a plan to harness the power of the sun, the ultimate source of life and energy in Egyptian cosmology. Using her deep knowledge of magic, Isis crafted a spell so potent that it could temporarily halt the sun's journey across the sky. Imagine the awe of the ancient Egyptians as they witnessed the sun seemingly frozen in place, a testament to Isis's divine might. This act was not merely a display of power but a strategic move to restore balance and order. By binding the sun, Isis demonstrated her ability to influence the very fabric of the universe, ensuring that her will could shape the natural world. It was a reminder that even the most fundamental forces of existence were subject to her command. The myth also carries profound symbolic meaning. The sun, represented by the god Ra, was seen as the life-giving force that sustained all creation. By controlling it, Isis not only proved her supremacy but also reinforced her role as a protector of life and harmony. Her actions were a declaration that no force, no matter how powerful, could stand against her when the well-being of her loved ones or the balance of the cosmos was at stake. This story resonated deeply with the ancient Egyptians, who saw in Isis a goddess capable of both nurturing and commanding the forces of nature. It reinforced her image as a deity who could bring light to darkness, order to chaos, and hope to despair. Her ability to bind the sun became a symbol of her unwavering resolve and a commitment to safeguarding the world she cherished. As we reflect on this myth, it's clear that Isis's power extended far beyond the realms of magic and mythology. She was a force of nature herself, a divine figure whose influence shaped the very world around her. Next, we'll explore how Isis's role as a guide in the afterlife further cemented her place in Egyptian mythology. But for now, let's marvel at the image of Isis, the goddess who could command the sun, a testament to her boundless power and enduring legacy. Now, let's journey into the shadowy realms of the afterlife, where Isis's influence extended far beyond the living world. As the goddess of the underworld, Isis played a pivotal role in guiding souls through the perilous journey to the afterlife, a responsibility that further solidified her place in the hearts of the ancient Egyptians. This myth begins with Isis's deep connection to Osiris, her husband and the ruler of the underworld. After his resurrection, Osiris became the judge of the dead, overseeing the weighing of hearts ceremony where a soul's fate was determined. Isis, ever the devoted partner, took on the role of protector and guide for those making this sacred journey. She ensured that the souls of the deceased were prepared for their final judgment, offering them comfort and wisdom as they navigated the challenges of the afterlife. One of the most striking aspects of this myth is how it reflects the ancient Egyptians' beliefs about death and rebirth. They saw death not as an end but as a transition to a new existence, and Isis was the divine figure who facilitated this transformation. Her presence in the underworld was a source of hope, assuring the living that their loved ones would be cared for and guided safely to their eternal resting place. Isis's role in the afterlife also had a profound impact on Egyptian funerary practices. Amulets and spells invoking her name were commonly placed in tombs to ensure her protection. The famous Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and prayers, often included invocations to Isis, asking for her aid in navigating the underworld's dangers. Her image was frequently depicted on burial items, symbolizing her role as a guardian of the dead. This myth also highlights Isis's dual nature as both a nurturing mother and a powerful deity. In the underworld, she was not only a guide but also a source of divine justice, ensuring that the souls of the righteous were rewarded and the wicked faced consequences. Her ability to traverse both the realms of the living and the dead made her a uniquely versatile figure in Egyptian mythology. As we reflect on this aspect of Isis's story, it's clear that her role as the goddess of the underworld was more than just a mythological detail. It was a reflection of the ancient Egyptians' deepest hopes and fears about death, and a testament to Isis's enduring power to bring light even in the darkest of places. Next, we'll uncover how Isis's creativity and ingenuity led to the invention of the sistrum, a sacred instrument that became central to Egyptian rituals. But for now, let's pause and consider the profound impact of Isis's guidance in the afterlife, a role that continues to resonate with those who seek comfort in the face of life's greatest mystery. Now, let's shift our focus to a myth that showcases Isis's creativity and her profound influence on Egyptian culture. Among her many divine attributes, Isis is credited with inventing the sistrum, a sacred musical instrument that became a cornerstone of Egyptian rituals and ceremonies. This myth not only highlights her ingenuity but also underscores the importance of music and sound in connecting the earthly and divine realms. The sistrum, a handheld rattle-like instrument, was more than just a tool for creating music. It was a symbol of divine power and protection, often associated with the goddess Hathor as well. However, it was Isis who, according to myth, first crafted this instrument to honor the gods and bring harmony to the world. The sistrum's distinctive sound was believed to ward off evil spirits and invoke the presence of the divine, making it an essential part of religious ceremonies. In ancient Egyptian culture, the sistrum was used in temples during rituals dedicated to Isis and other deities. Its rhythmic shaking was thought to mimic the rustling of reeds along the Nile, a sound deeply tied to the life-giving waters of the river. This connection to the Nile further emphasized Isis's role as a nurturing and protective goddess, as the river was the lifeblood of Egyptian civilization. The design of the sistrum itself carried symbolic meaning. Its frame often featured the face of Hathor, while the handle was sometimes adorned with images of Isis, blending the powers of these two powerful goddesses. The metal loops or discs that produced the sound were said to represent the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, themes central to Isis's mythology. Through the creation of the sistrum, Isis not only enriched Egyptian religious practices but also demonstrated her ability to bridge the physical and spiritual worlds. The instrument's use in rituals helped worshippers feel closer to the divine, creating a sense of unity and reverence during ceremonies. As we explore this myth, it's fascinating to see how Isis's influence extended beyond magic and healing into the realm of art and culture. The sistrum remains a testament to her enduring legacy, a symbol of how music and spirituality were intertwined in ancient Egypt. Next, we'll delve into the final myth in our series, where we'll examine how Isis came to embody the ideal of divine femininity, inspiring reverence across cultures and generations. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the beauty and significance of the sistrum, a creation that continues to echo the divine harmony Isis brought to the world. Now, let's turn our attention to the final myth in our series, one that captures the essence of Isis as the embodiment of divine femininity. Across ancient cultures, Isis was revered not just as a goddess of magic and healing, but as a symbol of feminine power, wisdom, and nurturing. Her influence extended far beyond Egypt, shaping the way people viewed the divine feminine for centuries. Isis represented the ideal of motherhood, compassion, and strength. She was seen as a protector, a healer, and a guide, embodying the qualities that many cultures associated with the nurturing aspects of femininity. Her story of resurrecting Osiris, protecting Horus, and using her wisdom to outwit even the gods made her a figure of immense respect and admiration. What's fascinating is how this myth of Isis as the divine feminine spread beyond Egypt. As her worship traveled to Greece and Rome, she became a universal symbol of feminine power. The Greeks associated her with Demeter, the goddess of agriculture and motherhood, while the Romans linked her to their own goddesses of love and fertility. This blending of cultures shows just how deeply Isis resonated with people across the ancient world. Her image as a nurturing mother figure also influenced art and literature. Statues and paintings often depicted her holding Horus, symbolizing her role as a protector and caregiver. These depictions reinforced the idea of Isis as a source of comfort and strength, qualities that transcended cultural boundaries. But Isis wasn't just about nurturing. She was also a figure of immense wisdom and authority. Her ability to outsmart Ra and harness the power of his secret name showcased her intelligence and resourcefulness. This duality of being both nurturing and powerful made her an enduring symbol of divine femininity. Even today, Isis continues to inspire. Her legacy as a goddess who embodies the balance of strength and compassion resonates with modern interpretations of femininity. Whether in literature, art, or spirituality, her story reminds us of the timeless power of the divine feminine. As we conclude this exploration of Isis's myths, it's clear that her influence was not confined to ancient Egypt. She became a universal figure representing ideals that continue to inspire and uplift. From her magical prowess to her nurturing spirit, Isis remains a testament to the enduring power of the divine feminine across cultures and generations. And with that, we've reached the end of our journey through the 25 myths of Isis. But her story doesn't end here. In our next section, we'll explore how her influence spread beyond Egypt, shaping the myths and beliefs of other ancient civilizations. Stay with us as we uncover the global legacy of this remarkable goddess. Now, let's take a step beyond the borders of ancient Egypt and explore how the myths of Isis traveled far and wide, leaving an indelible mark on cultures across the Mediterranean and beyond. Her story didn't just resonate within the Nile Valley, it echoed across seas and mountains, shaping the beliefs and practices of civilizations far removed from her Egyptian origins. One of the most fascinating aspects of Isis's influence is how seamlessly she integrated into Greek and Roman mythology. When the Greeks encountered Isis, they saw in her a reflection of their own goddess Demeter, who was also associated with agriculture, motherhood, and the cycles of life. The Greeks admired Isis's nurturing qualities and her role as a protector, and they began to worship her alongside their own deities. Temples dedicated to Isis sprang up in cities like Athens and Delos, blending Egyptian and Greek traditions in a way that enriched both cultures. The Romans, too, were captivated by Isis. They saw her as a universal goddess, one who transcended cultural boundaries. To the Romans, Isis embodied the ideals of love, fertility, and protection, qualities they associated with their own goddesses like Venus and Ceres. Her worship became so widespread that it even reached the farthest corners of the Roman Empire, from Britain to North Africa. Roman emperors, including Augustus and Caligula, were known to honor Isis, and her festivals became major events in the Roman calendar. But Isis's influence didn't stop at Greece and Rome. Her myths and symbols found their way into the beliefs of other Mediterranean cultures, such as the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians. In these societies, Isis was often linked to local goddesses, creating a rich tapestry of shared myths and rituals. Her image as a nurturing mother and a powerful magician resonated deeply, making her a figure of universal appeal. What's truly remarkable is how Isis's legacy endured even as the ancient world gave way to new eras. Her symbols, such as the ankh and the sistrum, continued to appear in art and religious practices long after the fall of the Roman Empire. In some ways, her story became a bridge between the ancient and medieval worlds, preserving the wisdom and traditions of earlier civilizations. Even today, Isis's influence can be seen in modern spirituality and culture. Her image as a goddess of wisdom, healing, and divine femininity continues to inspire artists, writers, and spiritual seekers around the world. From Renaissance paintings to contemporary literature, her story remains a source of fascination and reverence. As we reflect on Isis's journey beyond Egypt, it's clear that her myths were not confined to one time or place. They traveled, evolved, and adapted, becoming a part of the shared heritage of humanity. Her enduring legacy reminds us of the power of stories to connect us across cultures and generations, proving that the divine feminine, as embodied by Isis, is truly timeless. And with that, we've seen how Isis's influence stretched far beyond the sands of Egypt. But her story doesn't end here. In our next section, we'll explore how her myths continue to inspire and shape modern culture, proving that her magic is as alive today as it was thousands of years ago. Stay with us as we uncover the modern legacy of this extraordinary goddess. Now, let's turn our attention to the present day and discover how the ancient myths of Isis continue to resonate in modern culture. Her timeless appeal has transcended centuries, finding new life in literature, art, and spirituality, proving that her influence is as powerful now as it was in ancient times. In literature, Isis has become a symbol of wisdom, resilience, and divine femininity. Authors and poets have drawn inspiration from her myths, weaving her story into novels, poems, and essays that explore themes of love, loss, and rebirth. For instance, her role as a protector and healer has inspired characters in fantasy and historical fiction, where her archetype often represents strength and compassion. Her enduring presence in storytelling reminds us that her myths are not just relics of the past but living narratives that continue to shape our understanding of the human experience. Art, too, has been profoundly influenced by Isis. From Renaissance paintings to contemporary sculptures, her image has been reimagined by countless artists. During the Renaissance, her depiction as a nurturing mother often paralleled the Virgin Mary, blending ancient Egyptian symbolism with Christian iconography. In modern art, Isis is celebrated as a symbol of empowerment and spiritual awakening. Her iconic imagery, such as the Ankh and the Sistrum, frequently appears in works that explore themes of life, renewal, and the divine feminine. Spirituality is another realm where Isis's legacy thrives. In modern pagan and neo-pagan traditions, she is revered as a goddess of magic, healing, and transformation. Many spiritual seekers turn to her myths for guidance, seeing in her a model of resilience and devotion. Rituals and meditations inspired by Isis often focus on themes of rebirth and inner strength, reflecting her ancient role as a bringer of life and a protector of the vulnerable. Her story continues to offer solace and inspiration to those navigating the complexities of modern life. Even in popular culture, Isis's influence is unmistakable. Her name and imagery appear in films, television shows, and even video games, often symbolizing mystery, power, and wisdom. These modern interpretations keep her myths alive, introducing her story to new generations who may not be familiar with her ancient origins. What makes Isis's modern legacy so remarkable is her ability to adapt and remain relevant. Whether through literature, art, or spirituality, her myths continue to speak to universal truths about love, loss, and the enduring power of the divine feminine. Her story reminds us that the past is never truly gone. It lives on in the stories we tell and the symbols we cherish. As we reflect on Isis's presence in modern culture, it's clear that her myths are more than just ancient tales. They are a testament to the enduring power of storytelling and the timeless appeal of a goddess who embodies the very essence of life, magic, and transformation. And with that, we've seen how Isis's influence stretches far beyond the ancient world, continuing to inspire and captivate us today. But her story doesn't end here. In our next section, we'll delve into some common misconceptions about Isis, separating myth from reality to uncover the true essence of this extraordinary goddess. Stay with us as we explore the facts behind the legends. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the most common misconceptions about Isis, peeling back the layers of myth to reveal the truth behind this fascinating goddess. Over time, certain misunderstandings have taken root, often overshadowing her true significance in Egyptian mythology. By addressing these myths, we can gain a clearer picture of who Isis really was and the role she played in the ancient world. One widespread misconception is that Isis was solely a goddess of magic. While her mastery of magic is undeniably central to her identity, reducing her to just this aspect overlooks the breadth of her influence. Isis was also a protector, a healer, a mother, and a symbol of divine femininity. Her magic was not an isolated trait, but a tool she used to fulfill her roles as a nurturer and guardian. By understanding her multifaceted nature, we can appreciate the complexity of her character and the depth of her impact on Egyptian culture. Another common myth is that Isis was exclusively an Egyptian deity. While she originated in Egypt, her worship spread far beyond its borders, influencing Greek, Roman, and other Mediterranean cultures. This widespread veneration led to her being associated with various local goddesses such as Demeter and Aphrodite. However, these associations sometimes blurred the lines between her original identity and the roles she took on in other cultures. Recognizing her Egyptian roots helps us stay true to her origins while acknowledging her global legacy. Some also believe that Isis was a passive figure, merely a supportive wife to Osiris and mother to Horus. This couldn't be further from the truth. Isis was a proactive and resourceful goddess, taking decisive action to protect her family and restore order. From resurrecting Osiris to safeguarding Horus from Seth, her stories are filled with examples of her strength and determination. Far from being passive, Isis was a driving force in Egyptian mythology, embodying resilience and agency. There's also a misconception that Isis's myths were purely symbolic, with no basis in the lived experiences of ancient Egyptians. In reality, her stories were deeply intertwined with the daily lives and beliefs of the people. Her role as a protector of pharaohs, for instance, reinforced the divine legitimacy of rulers, while her association with the Nile's flooding connected her to the agricultural cycles that sustained the kingdom. Her myths were not just abstract tales, but reflections of the values and concerns of the society that revered her. Finally, some assume that Isis's influence faded with the decline of ancient Egypt. As we've seen in previous sections, her legacy has endured through the ages, inspiring art, literature, and spirituality across cultures and centuries. Her timeless appeal lies in her ability to embody universal themes: love, loss, rebirth, and the power of the divine feminine that resonate with people even today. By debunking these misconceptions, we can better appreciate Isis for who she truly was: a complex, dynamic goddess whose influence extended far beyond the boundaries of myth. Her story is not just a relic of the past, but a living narrative that continues to inspire and captivate. And with that, we've cleared away some of the fog surrounding her legacy, bringing us closer to understanding the true essence of Isis. Next, we'll wrap up our exploration by summarizing the key takeaways from these 25 myths, reflecting on her enduring significance in both ancient and modern times. As we bring our journey through the myths of Isis to a close, it's clear that her story is one of profound depth and timeless resonance. From her role as the creator of the universe to her mastery of magic, her influence stretches across the very fabric of ancient Egyptian culture and beyond. Each myth we've explored, whether it's her resurrection of Osiris, her protection of Horus, or her connection to the Nile, reveals a goddess who was not only powerful but deeply compassionate, embodying the ideals of love, resilience, and divine wisdom. Isis's magical influence was not confined to the realm of myth. It shaped the lives of ancient Egyptians, from the pharaohs who sought her blessing to the everyday people who turned to her for healing and protection. Her stories were more than just tales. They were reflections of the values, hopes, and struggles of a civilization that revered her as a source of strength and guidance. But Isis's legacy doesn't end with ancient Egypt. Her myths traveled across borders, inspiring cultures from Greece to Rome, and leaving an indelible mark on the spiritual and artistic traditions of the Mediterranean world. Even today, her story continues to captivate, offering lessons in resilience, the power of love, and the enduring strength of the divine feminine. As we reflect on these 25 myths, it's impossible not to be struck by the enduring significance of Isis. Her magic, her wisdom, and her compassion resonate across the ages, reminding us of the timeless power of storytelling and the universal truths it can reveal. If you've enjoyed this exploration of Isis and her magical influence, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. What myth resonated with you the most? Are there other aspects of her story you'd like to explore further? Let's keep the conversation going. And if you found this video insightful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into the fascinating world of mythology. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that shape our world.